Well, here we are once again. It is our football forecast Thursday afternoon, 12:30, and we welcome in Wayne and Rick. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
How's it
Good
going?
afternoon, Jay.
Well, it's all come down to this. It is playoff time, of course, for college and for, of course, the Sunday NFL. And here are some of the topics we're covering in week number 17 for the football forecast. Black Friday, some coaches' firings, what teams made the right decision or what teams maybe didn't make the right decision. We've got the Raiders, they're on the clock. We'll get your pick. And some trade buzz and hot rumors, and we'll get to our pick six and scorecard at the end. All right. With that being said, Wayne, let's jump right into it. Black Friday. Did I say Black Friday? I meant Black Monday. Black Monday. I don't know. I've
I
got.
knew what you meant.
I've got. I'm still shopping, guys. Forgive me. I've got too many gift cards that I'm working through here for the holidays. But coaches' firings. You lost John Harbaugh, Jonathan Gannon from the Cardinals, Pete Carroll, Raiders, Kevin Stefanski from the Browns, Raheem Morris of the Falcons, Brian Dable of the Giants, and just announced today, Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins. Wayne, out of any of those coaches, what do you feel they made a right or wrong decision?
Well, let me just say this. As I was making the list, I was going through, and first of all, I was surprised about John Harbaugh. I really was. I know there were
Yep.
rumors about that there was some friction between he and Jackson, and what was going to happen there. But I was even a little surprised just with all the success he's had. But as I was working on this yesterday afternoon and a little bit this morning, um, I had written down that I was surprised that Mike McDaniel had not been fired by the Dolphins. About 20 minutes later, Lene texts me and she goes, "The Dolphins just fired their coach." This was one, it seemed like, and I don't know if you could see it coming, but I certainly thought that he would and maybe should be replaced. There was something about him that I never thought he was a good fit for him. I was also surprised by Kevin Stefanski, twice coach of the year. Whether that means anything or not, I'm not quite sure, but he really had nothing to work with. I mean, they drafted two quarterbacks in the last draft in the third and the fifth round. He was just given in it. You guys know, look at your team. It starts with a quarterback that can,
Mm-hmm.
in his second year, in the case of Caleb Williams, get things turned around. There isn't a team in the playoffs that doesn't have a decent quarterback. Stefanski was never given that opportunity, and it just seemed so strange that he was let go. And they had two first round draft picks coming this year, and I thought they had a chance to turn it around. So that one surprised me the most. Pete Carroll, I
Rick,
thought, I was surprised they hired him last year, to be honest with you.
yeah, that was kind of a surprising hire for me as well. Rick, Kevin Stefanski was stuck with, oh gosh, what's the quarterback? Help me out. Clemson kid.
Oh, Deshaun Watson?
Oh,
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
He got stuck with that mess. I mean, I think he's a good coach. I really do. Does he deserve firing? I guess I could go either way. What are your thoughts?
He's a great offensive mind, and like Wayne said, I don't think he had a lot to work with there over his time in Cleveland. I don't think he will be without a job for long. If not a head coach, at very least an offensive coordinator somewhere. Um, but I mean, we can say that all you want, but they did swing deals and swing big for certain players. I don't know what kind of input he had in that. I mean, they traded for Amari Cooper midseason one time. They had Nick Chubb during the prime of his career. At one point, they had probably the best offensive line in the league. So, I mean, they had pieces, but like Wayne said, they just never really found that quarterback. And obviously, they swung big in that Deshaun Watson trade. I don't know if the fault necessarily lies on him or the the general manager or the scouting team, right? I mean, there are definitely signs there with Watson that, hey, this is not going to end well, but I'm not sure who the blame really fell with there. Maybe he had more input in those personnel decisions than what we think he did, but I was shocked to see him go as well.
Real quick, Rick, 30 seconds or less. Are you surprised that Aaron Glenn is not on this list?
No, again, he's another guy who they didn't give him a lot to work with. And then not only that, but his key pieces, his stars, they traded away in mid-season to get more draft capital to start fresh. So I think if you're going to do that to a coach, you're going to hamstring him like that. You've got to give him 3 years total in order to kind of get some of that turned around. And I don't think he's a very charismatic personality. I think he still has the locker room right now, or that would be the other concern I'd have is if he'd lost the locker room. But I think he's enough of a very outgoing, charismatic, hoorah type coach where he hasn't done that yet.
And real quick, Wayne, off the top of your head, John Harbaugh fits where?
Well, I read this morning that he's going to take a week off before he even interviews for any place. I think there are a lot of places that he would fit. He came into the head coaching position with Baltimore as a special teams guru. We certainly know what he's done defensively. And I think there are a lot of places. He and Stefanski, I don't think are going if they want to be. They may want to take a year off, but I think they could have their choice of 2 or 3 places depending on who gives them an opportunity.
Well, the job opening for the Raiders is open. That might entice many coaches because they have got the number 1 pick. They've got themselves a pretty good running back. Last year's number, well, he was in the first round. Kid, he's a hell of a rusher. I don't know why he didn't. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't rush him more often this season because he was on my fantasy team. But Rick, Raiders, who do you, who do you feel is the number 1 pick for those Las Vegas Raiders?
It really depends on who they're going to bring in as coach, right? I mean, I think no matter if they keep the pick, they trade out of the pick. I think Fernando Mendoza is the number 1 overall pick and should be the number 1 overall pick. He's against top tier FBS defenses, he even put up excellent, if not at least serviceable passing efficiency numbers. From everything I've heard and what I've seen on the field and when cameras got him on the sidelines, he's a great leader. He's well liked by coaches and teammates and media. And that's what you want in your franchise player. But I don't think anyone's going to excel in Las Vegas behind that offensive line if they can't fix that issue. Same deal like with Chicago, last season. You could put Peyton Manning in his prime back there, and he was going to throw 20 picks and get crushed 60 times a season. So I don't think it would be terrible for them to explore trading with teams like Arizona or Cleveland to try and see if they want to move up, take that pick from them, and really invest in that offensive line. There's a couple good offensive tackles out there. The kid from Miami whose name escapes me, and Spencer Fano from Utah, and use the rest of whatever they pick up in that draft capital to shore up that interior of that offensive line because they were terrible. I don't think Smith is that bad of a QB, but no one's going to succeed with what they had protecting them.
Rick, our team kind of set the precedent, though, already. They drafted a number 1 pick and a quarterback. It took him a season to get his feet underneath of him. Then they went into free agency and got some linemen for the guy. Why couldn't the Las Vegas Raiders do the same thing?
One is the guy we're going to talk about soon, Max Crosby. His contract, I think at the time he signed it, was the biggest non-quarterback contract in history. I think Myles Garrett beat that out when he signed his contract extension. But that kicks in this year now, and that's an albatross of a contract. Great player, not saying that he's not worth the money, but when you sign other players to those 30, 40, $50 million a year deals, that really hamstrings being able to sign that $25 million left tackle or the $18 million top guard. It's you really hamstring your team with those major, huge contracts.
Wayne, Arch Manning is out there. He didn't start the season off so well in Texas, but wrapped it up pretty good. He beat Michigan in their bowl game. You got Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, Dante Moore, who's playing against Fernando tomorrow night. And then you got this kid at Ole Miss who a lot of people, Trinidad Chambliss, I've watched him play, and he is electric. That's 4 pretty good quarterbacks to choose from. I don't know if Las Vegas wants to skip on any of those.
Yeah, I don't think Manning's coming out. He has said he's going back to Texas. But yeah, we're going to talk about Trinidad here in a little bit. This guy came out of nowhere from Ferris State last year, won a Division II championship, and now he's got his team in the semifinals. As far as the Raiders are concerned, I would feel so badly whether it's Mendoza or Moore or whoever it is that gets drafted first overall and is put on that team, because that team is, in my opinion, by far the least talented team in the NFL. I agree with Rick. I think they need to, you got a team like the Jets that needs a quarterback. They've got multiple first-round draft picks from trading to Dallas, from trading Sauce to Indianapolis. They've got some capital where they can move up. And they've got a little bit more to work with personnel-wise than the Raiders do. I would be surprised if Las Vegas decides to go with a quarterback, because it's going to be what Derek Carr's brother, what was his name, that went to Houston in the first tour with the first pick, just got the heck beat out of him. David, yeah,
David
year
Carr.
after year, and he never was able to materialize, even though he's a very, very good talent by all indications. But you get beat to death back there, pretty soon your career is over. And I think that's what's waiting for one of these guys. I don't know at this point that Moore or Mendoza are Peyton Manning. Are they that kind of a quarterback, or are they just the top 2 in this year's draft? If I'm the Raiders, I try and build around the quarterback and worry about that later. They're not a playoff contending team now with the first round quarterback.
Let me throw this at you, and it's a very long shot, a 1 in 100 opportunity. Fernando Mendoza, Curt Cignetti win the national championship. Yeah, I know you already know what I'm talking about. Cignetti says, you know what, I'll take my quarterback to Las Vegas. He changes cultures, Wayne. He changes teams. He changes everything about him.
The NFL and college football are 2 different animals. I don't know how Cignetti would work in the NFL, but he'd be dumb to do that. I mean, it's not like he just signed a massive contract to stay at Indiana. He's done something that no one has ever done at that university before. He has changed the culture. He has changed the mindset of college football as to how to get things done. He's 64 years old. I don't see him wanting to go into the NFL right now.
But see, I feel that he wants to. Cignetti, that guy is a winner. Google him, okay?
Yeah. He said so. Google me.
He wants to go to where that's the ultimate, isn't it? The NFL,
it's
ultimate.
The
it's the ultimate challenge. He feels, and even if he doesn't win, a lot of college coaches go there and they lose.
Listen, the NFL has rules right now. College football has none. It's a free-for-all. It's a Wild West out there. And there's one coach in America that's figured it all out. His name is Curt Cignetti, and is at the University of Indiana. And as long as he is leading the pack in that, he's going to still do what he has to do in the portal. He's got this team going.
$15 million, but his quarterback is leaving. A lot of the offense, seniors, they're going. He might see, and plus the portal, he's getting new kids brought in, but if they don't like Cignetti, I'm out of here next year. So I don't think it's going to happen either, but there's a very small chance that this guy could say, you know what, with his growly old face that he has on the sidelines, he might just take off. We'll see how it plays out. Okay.
But listen, you guys, seriously, if you're going to jump to the NFL, would you do it with the Raiders? I don't care if you're bringing Mendoza with you or not. I mean, why would you set yourself up to fail if you're looking to move up to the next level?
Well, if you win the national championship, what more do you have to win in college football, right? He's already won the national championship, won a Division II championship. Yeah, well, I don't think
you win it again.
Yeah. Well, he wants to be in the NFL. I can probably promise you that. All right, let's get to our trade buzz and hot rumors. Max Crosby wants to be out of Vegas. Where's a good landing spot for him, Wayne?
You hear so much about Detroit teaming him on the other side of Hutchinson. I think, just like Micah Parsons last year, there are a lot of teams that certainly could use him. He's always seemed to be a real team player. You didn't hear much griping until recently of him wanting to get out. I think there are a lot of teams that could really use him, but the one that I've heard most of all, I think, is Detroit. I
Uh,
do have a trade though in mind for you though that doesn't include Max Crosby.
okay. Rick, for me, I think it's the New England Patriots. They got 50 million cap space. Vrabel, he wants to bolster that defense to, for Drake May. They want to put together something special there.
Yeah, I think that would be a good fit. I I do hear a lot of chatter about him going to Detroit. Supposedly, I don't know a lot about Max Crosby, but supposedly that's kind of like his hometown or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
you just look at Detroit's cap situation. They do not they do not have the money to take that on, especially if they're planning on re-signing Gibbs to a short extension here. He's fifth-year option will be not next year, but 2027. So I don't think that's in the cards. Same thing. I hear chatter about him possibly getting traded to Chicago and pairing him on the opposite side of Sweat. Same deal. Chicago is not in the position for cap space, not with as much money as they doled out this last offseason to shore up that offensive line. One that really shocked me that does have the cap space and I think is great for it'd be good for Crosby and for the other both teams, and a real short move for him would be going to the Rams. The Rams have a history, I'm sure, as you guys know, of trading their top draft picks for bona fide stars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have 61 million in cap space is what they're projected to have at the start of next year. And they have a young up and coming defense that you get an exceptional starter like Max Crosby, that could make that defense go from really good to maybe groundbreaking. So I think that would be a really good fit for him going from Vegas to LA.
It's an
Yeah,
interesting
that
one.
does
Yeah.
make some sense. Yeah. Wayne, turning to Minnesota Vikings. They're in need of a veteran quarterback going into the 26 season next fall. Your thoughts on, real quick, who you'd like to see back there?
Okay, I've been on the phone with both general managers, and I think I almost have this worked out. We're going to
Good.
trade J.J. McCarthy along with 3 first-round draft choices to Cincinnati for Joe Burrow. You look at the team that Rick just brought up, the Rams. We thought they mortgaged the future because how many years in a row did they go without a first-round draft choice? They proved that you can do it without drafting in the first round. They got Stafford. They sent a 3rd-round pick and 2 first-round picks along with Jared Goff to Detroit to get Stafford. They won a Super Bowl. They've been good ever since. They're a threat every single season. Burrow was born in Minnesota. I don't know how long he lived in that state, but he's got some ties. I would be all for that. Don't know if it can happen, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'm guessing you probably would. If the deal can't get done, you're probably going to get Tua Tagovailoa, though.
You want me to hang up?
I'm more
I don't like Tua at all.
I'm more thinking bring back Daniel Jones on a real team friendly deal due to his Achilles injury.
Yeah, the thing is, Rick, he's going to be out until Thanksgiving next year.
Well, maybe not Thanksgiving, but certainly he's not making it back in the first 4 or 5 games of the season. You use that time to determine whether or not McCarthy has progressed, and if he hasn't, you've got a very serviceable bridge quarterback until you come up with your next plan.
But you look at how Kirk Cousins came back after, he got hurt about the same time that Daniel Jones did the couple of years before that. He couldn't get to the stretch handoffs and stuff for a long time until this year. It just takes a long time for these guys for that Achilles to really be back to full strength. So I like the idea. I wish they could have kept him this year, but coming off an injury like that, that's tough.
Kurt was also 36. Daniel Jones is like 28. So I think as you're younger, you're more able to heal at a faster rate. So
we'll see how it plays out. April will be here before we know it. Let's get to our Pick 6 segment. We've got the Fiesta Bowl tonight, number 6 Ole Miss versus number 10 Miami. Wayne, these two teams have not played. Well, the last time they did was 1951.
Boy, yeah. And I knew it had been a while. I didn't realize it was that long ago. How about the Rebels? You know, they lose their coach. He's trying to bring all his assistants with him who signed contracts with LSU. So they, in a way, what Lane Kiffin has done to leave some of the coaching staff there, you can commend him for. On the other hand, there's no way Lane Kiffin thought that team was going to beat Georgia last week. So
Right.
he's not getting his assistants back as quickly as he thought. Are you guys old enough to remember the Michigan basketball team from the late 80s? Do you know what I'm talking
Sure.
about?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Bill Frieder.
Fab Five.
Yep. Well, it was before that. Bill Frieder takes a job. He was the head coach at Michigan, takes a job at Arizona State. Bo Schembechler was the athletic director, and he said, I don't want you to coach in the NCAA tournament. I want a Michigan guy. So he brings in Steve Fisher, who'd never coached before. Fisher wins the championship that year. That's
I
kind
think they
of what
beat
it's
Seton
looking
Hall,
like
didn't
here
they?
for Pete. Yes, this is what it's looking like for Pete Golding here. He's got a real opportunity to get to the championship game. They go in as 3.5-point underdogs tonight. Miami's defense is stellar. Trinidad Chambliss is phenomenal to watch, but I just have a gut feeling that the Hurricanes are going to win tonight.
Okay, Rick, as Wayne said, they're favored by 3.5. Miami's defense is elite. They're top 10 in total defense.
You know, I agree. Miami's defense has been playing lights out. But on the other side of the ball, in Miami's 2 losses and their close win over Notre Dame, when their offense struggles to function when they can't get the ground game going. Beck particularly struggles. He threw 6 INTs in those 2 losses. And Ole Miss, while they haven't been great on the regular season at stopping the run, have done a fantastic job doing so in the playoffs. They give up only 3.36 yards per carry, which is a full yard or more less than what Georgia and Tulane were averaging on the season. Chambliss has been brilliant since taking over in the 3rd game of the season. Their running back, Kellen Lacey, is a workhorse. He's got the 2nd most rushes in the country, and he set the SEC single season rushing touchdown record at 23. I'm going to go Ole Miss.
Okay, well, for me, it comes down to Miami's front 7 versus Ole Miss's tempo. If they can apply that pressure to Chambliss and Lacey and create a turnover, which Miami averages 1 takeaway per game, that is a big momentum killer. And I do like Carson Beck. He does have some big game experience, but as you said, he did have some big turnovers in some games. But I'm going to take the Canes by 4 in this game. All right, next one. I don't even know who to pick in this game. The Peach Bowl, this is such a tough game, Rick. Indiana looking for their first ever undefeated season, coming off a dismantling of the Crimson Tide.
Yep, fantastic matchup. Both teams match up really well to the other team. Their stats basically mirror the other. Like, you take a look at their offense, their rushing, their passing, their defensive rushing giving up. You're talking fractions, if they're different, fractions compared to the other team. The only exception is where they differ is in their rushing defense. While Oregon's rushing defense is good, they rank 19th in the FBS this year, Indiana's is elite, giving up only 74 yards per game on the ground. So the other difference, I think, is while Oregon has been very good in pass protection this year, they only gave up 16 sacks total on the year. Of those 16, 6 they gave up in that first matchup when they played. Indiana got home 6 times, so I am going with Indiana on this one.
Okay, Wayne, this is such a tough game for me. Indiana, as Rick said, sacked Dante Moore 6 times previously. The key matchup to keep an eye on is Indiana's pass rush versus their protection, Oregon's protection. Are injuries a concern now for the Ducks? Their lead running back, Jordan Davison, I read that he's out. Is that right?
Have not heard.
Okay, I thought. Well, it's not going to change my pick because I'm taking the Who's Your Daddy, Wayne.
All right, they played about 3 months ago in Eugene. Mendoza threw a pick 6, yet his team still won by 10 points. Indiana's defense has been lights out, and so I'm going to go with the Hoosiers.
Okay,
you're right, Jay.
Clean sweep
Davison
there.
is out, but their highest rushing total running back is still in. He'll just get a bigger workload.
Okay. Again, this game, I can't stand it. It's so close. Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears. This is a fitting rubber match game. Each team with a victory at home in the regular season. Which is hard to believe, only the second time these two teams have met in the playoffs. How does that even happen? It's crazy. Last time was 2011, right? The X factors for me, Wayne, in this game is Jordan Love and Jacobs. They're both healthy. Roma Dunze, Kyler Gordon, they're back. The Packers lack a pass rush. Bears count on forcing some miscues in each game. And this is the game that Ben Johnson was hired to win, Wayne. And I like the Bears at home to win against the Packers. Wayne, listen, both teams have been limping into the playoffs. Bears lost 2 in a row. Packers come in, I think, 4 in a row.
Yep, without question. I think both teams will be about as healthy as they can be, minus the Micah Parsons and the Tucker Crafts of Green Bay that are out. And I think Odunze is going to be back the way it sounds. And so it should be a good matchup. And you look at the 2 games that they played in Green Bay, an interception in the end zone that would have tied the game. In Chicago, a bomb in the end zone that won the game. I mean, you can't get closer than what these 2 teams played. I know the game is in Chicago, but I'm just going to go with the team that's got a little bit more playoff experience. I think Green Bay goes in and gets a very, very close win.
All right, Rick.
With Green Bay's losing the last 4 and resting their most of their starters last week in that pitiful game against the Vikings, I'm still not convinced. The Bears defense, yes, has been bad. They rely heavily on turnovers, but Green Bay's offense is only averaged just over 17 points a game over these last 4 games, and they've been wildly inconsistent on the year to begin with. They're only 4-4-1 on the road and have had some really bad stretches on with their offensive, even with all their offensive stars healthy. I'm going to go with the Bears because, like you said, this is the reason why they brought in Ben Johnson.
All right, Wayne, the Eagles sat some of their key players last week to prepare for this game. Why? They could have had home field advantage throughout the playoffs until they go to the championship, but depending on who they went to the championship with. Who do you like in this game?
Philadelphia, I think their defense is really playing as well as they have at any time this year, almost the way they played at the end of last year, which is very, very good. San Francisco's defense cannot get a pass rush. I think the Niners are going to be able to put some points up. But I think Philadelphia at home wins this. They're favored by 5. I think that's about right.
Okay, Rick, the link can get pretty rowdy. How much will the noise crowd affect the Niners?
I don't think that's going to affect it as much as you think it may. You take out the season finale against Seattle, and San Francisco's offense has just been humming no matter where they're playing. They've scored 34 or more points 5 times in the last 9 games. Meanwhile, Philly has failed to score 20 points in 6 of the last 9 games. That offense is just in a tailspin. Can't seem to get out of their own way. I'm taking the Niners on the road.
Taking the Niners on the road. Well, the Eagles' offensive line bolstered by Lane Johnson. I think they hold a significant edge. Saquon is rested, will rush up against a defense that is riddled with injuries. I expect a big game from Saquon Barkley. Vic Fangio's defense matches up well. They just need to keep Purdy in the pocket and McCaffrey under 100 yards. I got the Eagles for a 6-point victory. Next, another tough game for us to pick. Of course, all these games should be tough. It is the playoffs after all. Rick, this is a matchup of the best rushing offense against the best rushing defense in the league.
Yep. I'm going to go with Buffalo. I just feel that they're a more physical and experienced team. And, I've said it many times. They are built now for playoff football. They're gonna run the ball and run the ball some more. The season that James Cook has had has just been fantastic. I don't think that he's been given enough credit. I think he has almost 1,900 or 2,000 total yards between his rushing and receiving. So the Jags and Lawrence are riding a high with a lot of confidence, but beating the Jets and Titans by 30-plus points, over the last half of the season is a lot different than playing Josh Allen and James Cook. So I'm going to go with Buffalo.
Wayne, the playoffs aren't about being the best team. They're about being the hottest team. I like the Jags at home. but I'm not so sure about it because I might be changing my mind right here. I like the Jaguars going in. I like the Jaguars going in, but God darn it, I see them just back and forth because this is the easiest path Josh Allen has to getting to the Super Bowl he's ever had. Easiest path.
Bingo.
You know what? I got to go with the Buffalo Bills. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills, Wayne.
No Mahomes, no Jackson, no Burrow, and Josh Allen stands alone as one of the MVP winning quarterbacks. He's going up against a very, very hot team. And I think if anybody would have told us at the beginning of the season that Jacksonville would be 13-4, we would have said, wow, did that Travis Hunter trade on draft day pay off for them? He's nowhere to be found, and he hasn't been since about week 3. So give them credit, but I don't think they're going to win at home. I got Buffalo winning as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I made the switch. Houston Texans, Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys talked me into it. Houston Texans remain the wild card team to watch in the AFC. Houston closed the regular season with 8 straight wins, beating 3 playoff teams, including that Jacksonville, also Buffalo, and the Chargers along the way. I'm going to go ahead and I'm taking the Texans in this because Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers were very fortunate to make the playoff postseason. Their good fortune will run out. The Texans' elite defense will be a key factor, and C.J. Stroud will do just enough to send Houston to the divisional round, Wayne.
I don't like Houston in 35-degree weather. Their defense is elite, along with Denver, probably 2 of the top defenses in all of football. I think just because Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers got a reprieve and they're in the playoffs, I think they're a dangerous team right now. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh.
Rick, does Aaron Rodgers still have some of that magic left?
No. Yeah. You take a look at how they've played this season against top 5 defenses. They played top 5 defenses. When you're talking yards per game allowed, they played a top 5 defense 5 times this year. Cleveland twice, Seattle, Buffalo, and New England. Like in those 5 games, Pittsburgh averages 10 points per game. Houston is the best defense in the league in yards per game allowed. I don't think they have a chance. Houston's won 9 straight. It's going to be 10.
Yeah, isn't that
all right?
Picks. Because this is the one that I feel most strongly about. I think
do you?
Pittsburgh
This is
going to shock some people. Yeah, absolutely. I really do. Aaron
This is
Rodgers
the game.
looked like it was 2020 on Sunday night.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he did play pretty good, but what amazing game that was. These games were just so tough for me. Again, Jaguars, I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad I switched, but maybe I'm not glad. Maybe I could have took a point on you guys. But nonetheless, let's get to our score
on Monday morning, okay?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
You're locked in.
I'm thinking.
You're locked in.
All right, let's go to the scorecard. Wayne in at 59. Rick's got 58. Big weekend last weekend from Rick, and then I've got 63 points. So there you go, fellas. That's it. We're kicking into the playoffs high gear. We've only got just a few weeks left, and we're ready for it. So thanks a lot. We'll look forward to next Thursday, all right?
You know, opening weekend is so much fun, but isn't this just the best time of year? This is awesome.
As long as you got Amazon Prime.
20-degree weather.
Yeah.
You got to have Amazon Prime and probably Netflix, and I don't know, are they streaming anywhere else? Yeah, so you got to go. All right, guys. Prime this weekend. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. All right, 3 minutes after the hour. Let's take a break. We're right back here next on KFYR+.